Alrighty, guys. So this is ad hoc mixer at home, where we're just sitting here chatting. We're doing a podcast version and a video version. Want to check the video version out on our YouTube? I don't give a fuck. So there's going to be some cussing. There's going to be some wildness. This is just a conversation. It is not a proper episode that will be directed. But these in quarantine is the plan, which is pretty much it's conversations with POC about whatever's going on in their life or how they're doing. This is probably the last time we're gonna talk to you, audience, in any sense whatsoever, or care that you're there. So for now, though, that is Josh Dent and their voice. Yeah, you have to say something too.
It's Josh Dent with my voice.
Yes. Sierra Martin.
Hey, yo.
And Ashley Litchford.
Sup?
And I am Tavius Marshall. So that's it. Welcome to the Mixer. Have a good time. Talk to you guys maybe at the next time. So what the fuck's going on? Happy quarantine.
Happy quarantine.
Happy quarantine.
Oh, that was my best Homestar runner
Oh, it's a good one.
as Kevin Dubois.
Kevin Dubois.
I'm Kevin Dubois. So,
Sierra, do you remember Homestar Runner? What was that? Yeah. You were too young. You were too young for that one.
Were you though? That was some early 2000s internet shit. Like,
Yeah.
I was sheltered.
Yes. Super sheltered.
I'm going to blame it on that. 'Cause I don't know.
okay, yeah. Because I'm like, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
That's where it gets super entertaining. We were talking great just right before this. So, with everybody being stuck, is anybody else essential workers? I'm essentially working, doing moving stuff, currying.
Yeah.
So I've been out in the world and, dealing with certain parts of Nashville who don't give a fuck, or the people who give a fuck half, which is my people who let their nose out and just hang around. That's cool. And then, we are part of wearing a mask, and I usually wear a hat, so like that and being brown makes people automatically defensive to me in most situations. Then I have to worry about pulling down my mask, but then what's the point of wearing the mask if I have to pull it down every time I make an interaction? It's weird. Strange interaction.
It's,
Yikes.
Well, I am currently unemployed due to the coronavirus. They eliminated my position.
oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm hanging out at the house with all my children.
Doing mom shit, I guess.
It's great. I love it.
Is first conversation you've had with, like, adults in a while? Or
Yeah. Yeah. I got excited to go to the grocery store today, guys. Like, oh, for real. I'm like, I'm wearing pants with a zipper and buttons and a bra, and I'm going to go talk to the checkout lady. I can't.
see today.
I also don't have a job. My industry disappeared.
Yeah, for real.
Mm-hmm. Your industry, Josh?
Yeah, live music is not a thing.
Yep.
Anymore.
No.
And it's not going to be for a hot minute. And, I'm a fan of not killing people, so
Yeah.
I'm basically fucked in that employment thing, because
Yeah. Your standard's really high there, Josh. So the not killing people standard it seems to not
hot take. I know.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't know with what's currently going on. It is a hot take that apparently a lot of people don't care about.
Is it just a preference? You prefer to not kill people?
Oh, right. But I have to. I can't help myself.
I wasn't born not killing people, and I came to the conclusion that not killing people is just a thing that I prefer to do.
Oh my gosh.
God.
Dark. Yeah, no, it's fucked. I don't really leave the house at all.
Yep.
But here we are.
So So here's, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, well, fuck it. We can talk this, and I'll start brown, and then we can get off into nerddom or anything. So,
I'm
Cool.
not going anywhere.
yeah, so.
Much like you, I can't do anything. Like, as a photographer, what the hell am I supposed? I can take photos of somebody from like more than 6 feet away, to be honest, but bullhorn to them.
What was that? Sorry. Repeat that again.
No one gives a shit about photos right now.
Right.
Well, broke.
Well, everyone's broke. No one wants to remember this time. Like,
that's fair.
I just really okay. You know what's really fucked up is I'm seeing a lot of like right now. A lot of people are getting pregnant, and a lot of people are getting engaged right now.
Oh.
And I am like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I would literally not get engaged right now just simply because I'm like, maybe not right now. Like, unless it was like a financial necessity or whatever. But like maybe not right now. And like, purposefully getting pregnant right now, like, I could understand if, you were pregnant before March. Okay, I get you.
I guess, okay, there are 2 issues there. One, obviously, that being pregnant right now, I guess the good side is that if you're not working, both parents are home, and you have all the time with the newborn or whatever, or like if you're planning to have a baby now.
No, being pregnant before, I mean, yeah.
Oh, but the money.
Right. Yeah.
The money, the probable societal collapse, the, like, I don't know, we don't know how COVID affects kids. We do not know.
Yeah.
And it seems really, really fucked that people are just like, let's just give it a gamble. I'm like, I don't know. I like, once again, like pedaling back to that whole like not killing people thing. I do feel that way about kids too. Yeah. Even if I never want kids ever. But
yeah. Well,
I want them near me.
Right. I like them alive, 6 feet away.
Yeah.
way before quarantine.
Dude, I mean, it's that Ron Swanson line that I've been social distancing my whole life. You saw the reunion, but they were talking about quarantines. Like, Leslie's like, are you social distancing? He's like, yeah, I've been social distancing my entire life. It's fine.
Oh yeah, no, that part I'm incredibly actually happy about, but that's just like me personally. Like, a lot of people are hugging people and love people, and I mean I love people. I just with the touching. What it's a bubble. I got a nice bubble. I like my bubble. I'm happy in my bubble.
I'll hug all 4 of y'all. 3 of y'all? There's 3 of y'all. Audra's not here. I'll hug all 3 of y'all.
I just, no. The only time I think I've been physically close to another person that's not in my home is when our friend when Kat had to put Daisy down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean...
Her dog.
What the hell else are you going to do? Like, your friend is by themselves and their dog is sad and you can't hug them because death, and it's just the worst. So like I went over there full mask, gloves, and like I put like a hand on her back, and like I felt so bad that I couldn't be physically supportive.
Yeah.
And that's the frustration right now, is that having friends go through emotional shit and not being able to physically do anything.
Well, and that actually, like, that real hard goes into, like, I don't know about y'all, but I have been really hurting a lot recently without community. Just because, like, basically we're functionally being re-traumatized every goddamn day.
Yeah.
by just like all the shit that white people are doing, and like, and I'm like, there's a part of me that's glad that, you know, yes, keep posting about the shit constantly, because honestly,
Right.
they need it, but I don't need it. We don't need it. And like right now, it would be really great to just sit in a fucking room with my friends and just be able to like process all this shit that's happening. And we can't do that because also, same white people don't know how to fucking wear a goddamn mask. And like,
Stand. Like,
no, it's so fucked. It's so fucked. And like, I have left my house like a grand total of like 4 times since March. And only one of those was in a situation in which I interacted with another person.
right.
But every time I drive past, so I live like near like places where people go. Holy shit, driving down 12th South is like an active like practice in like, I don't know how to soothe this rage.
Yeah.
Because I see all these people, and before you ask, yes, they are. Just like, see, everyone who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about. Just no one wearing a goddamn mask except for the people who are fucking working at these restaurants who's they can't really choose not to because then they can't pay their fucking rent because we live in a capitalistic hellscape. And it's like, it's so fucked. It's so fucked seeing like these just like rich ass white people eating at these like bullshit restaurants like everything's fine. And I'm like, nigga, you're killing people. Like, I don't know what the fucking, I don't know how to explain to people that like, I don't know, maybe don't fucking do that. Like, get your fucking shitty food for takeout. Like, it's not that hard.
How hard is it to wear a mask? It's not ruining your life. Like, it really isn't.
Well, and that's always like so many people on the right, and my mom included, you know, keep posting like this. Well, it could do this, and it could wearing a mask could do that, and it's just, and then once it goes into like, you don't have the right to make me wear a mask. My line one starts with like, if at the end of the day everybody's wrong and masks do nothing, what have you lost? What have you lost by trying to help people? What's at the end of the world there for you? What's so hard about that?
Really annoying fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely harder to check people out that way. I mean, you just got to go with bodies, and that's a hard thing to have to deal with.
Okay, you know what? I bought a bunch of masks from like a Detroit-owned, like a black-owned company. They're fucking stylish as fuck.
Oh yeah.
And I also have a mask that is like pink with kitty cats. Because fuck you, I'll do what I want. You can get fashion on there. Like, people talking about like.
I started embroidering like my masks because I was like, one, being brown and wearing a mask, I'm trying to make it as approachable as possible.
Yeah.
So does it have a design? Is it friendly? You know, does it say I'm not going to rob you? Like that's what and yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and yet again, like for the high amount of code switching I do in every time I'm wearing a mask, hi, yeah, no, you're wonderful, I'm great, let's smile. I do a lot of shoulder work to see as jovial as possible. Yes,
I am not a threat. Please don't kill me.
Yeah. I mean, literally though, but so I mean, bad. I have blue sneakers on. I have blue socks on. I try to wear, I mean, I'm wearing a suit coat. I try to wear things that make people the least.
Chuck Taylor's not like Pumas.
Yeah, exactly. They're blue Chuck Taylors. Like they've got the happiest blue to them they could possibly have.
Cartoon shoes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's, yeah.
I think my mental health is struggling more than anything else right now. Just not having a lot of adult interaction. Luckily, my mother-in-law lives with us, so I have, you know, her and my husband. But I need more than her and my husband.
You need more than that. Socially, like, it's fucking real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I not that I'm upset that I'm no longer working. I love my coworkers, but that is not the group of people that I want to be having mental stimulation with. Like,
Yeah.
Also,
I need more than that.
is that like the career that you want?
No.
Yeah, so you don't care. So like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, yet again, office people are office people. People you work with are people you work with. But I mean, it's not like I take them on a. I don't know the same people I worked with like 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know any of the people I work with. I mean, you hang out with them, sure, at work. I'm not one of those let's go get drinks after work sort of guy though. Like I have.
No, you call me after work and we go get drinks.
Yeah, I have what I like to call real friends.
Yeah.
No, I never understood that. I was never a join in the workplace type of person. I was, you know, they're like, oh, potluck in the common room.
Oh, I ain't going to a coworker potluck unless we're all chefs. I ain't going to some shit like that. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
Weird saltless food, please.
Yeah.
Hey, salt is spicy.
Cats. Like,
Salt's a spice.
Susie, I know your cat has been mixed up in that whatever.
Always some casserole that you don't know what the fuck is in it. I'm like, why the hell would I just shove a spoon in this mystery dish of gloop and put it in a bowl? Because I trust you, stranger I sit next to in a cubicle. No,
Okay.
no way I'm eating food.
So this is a side tangent. But me and Ash were talking about going to Third Sunday, which is with her black family in the middle of podunk no fuck.
Coming. It's church homecoming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just third Sunday in May.
Yeah. So we go to Times Church or whatever. And so when I showed up, we were talking about the difference when her dad showed up, and like how he for years never was comfortable in the environment. To me, I was just like, oh, a bunch of old people in a black family. That's fine, and people are gonna keep feeding me, which is a reality. Which is the thing is like, I don't like stranger food. I'm not a big fan of stranger food. So when there's a lot of casseroles involved, even in this conversation, and then like just beans and a thing, I'm just always like, this is gonna be good, but I don't.
But what was the first thing I did? The first third Sunday you got there, I went, this and this and this is what my grandma made.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and you're gonna eat all of that.
Oh yeah, that was great. It was great.
Because it's safe. Eat that. Yeah. That's okay. But yeah, no communal food. And that was before massive contagion and shit. That was just, I don't want your heebie-jeebies. And I also don't want you talking to me like we're friends, because we're not.
No work socials. No, never work socials.
And then,
I mean, that's the thing. Is like, even if it was cake in the break room, I was just like, do I have to go?
Yeah, seriously.
If it's my birthday, please don't make me go. Just give the cake away, and I don't want any thanks.
Yeah.
But then you also feel obligated because you're a brown person in an office, so you feel like you have to go to prove that you're not brown.
Yeah.
Means, but like, look up. I hate it. I hate forced camaraderie. I hate building exercises. I hate all that shit.
It's fucking ironic, because that's actually, I definitely I'm an outlier in that, and that I tend to like my coworkers, but also my coworkers are people that I'm choosing to work with to make art that I care about.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is a totally different. It is not your bog standard office environment.
Right. You're not having cake in the break room specifically.
Right. We don't have break rooms.
Right.
We don't have an office.
Right.
I mean, because this is specifically working in an office, which is why I don't work in an office anymore. Because it drives you insane.
Yeah.
Isn't that the purpose, though?
To drive you insane?
Yeah.
I mean, it is to slowly take your personality out of the equation and make you some sort of even if you're doing intelligent, high high institutional work. If you're still doing institutional work, at a certain point, they just want you to be like most of the mold 90% of the time. I'm not saying every office is like this, but literally I've worked in tons of offices in America, and most of them are like that. Just remove your personality, insert labor here.
Oh yeah, it's like military boot camp. Got to break you down to build you back up.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck that. I mean, that's a big reason why, like, when I moved to Nashville, like, one of my rules was I wasn't allowed to have a non-music job.
Right.
Because, like, I tried working. I worked a job that I actually kind of liked before I moved here, and I still wanted to fucking die. And that's not even, like, hyperbole. I was like, oh, shit, I'm suicidal. I need to do something about my life right now.
Nope. You went
and, like, huh?
No, I was saying Tave went through something similar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, the lowest point of my career is working at a call center.
Ugh.
Well, you had me at call center.
Yeah, I drank all day, and so the call center hours, by the way, were 11 at night. No, sorry, 9 at night till 7 in the morning.
Your shift.
Yeah, that was my shift.
Yeah.
They had callers, they had the place staffed 24 hours a day. But I mean, mostly of the people you're talking to are drunk or lonely and have put their phone has gotten fucked up because they were drunk or lonely. And like the endless like numbers game of all of that shit, I drank all day. Like while I was at work, I had booze in my like 7-Up cup or in my and I just drank all day. Like got super sick, got super crazy. But I could that was the only way. Call center is the most demeaning environment I think I've been in at least corporate America of like a standard office job.
Like verging on inhumane.
Oh yeah.
Amount of
I mean, you go fucking tell because I'm assuming that all of y'all are excellent human beings, and when you call when you have to call like a fucking hotline, when you talk to those people, I could not be more polite, no matter how irritated I am.
Yeah.
I am like, absolutely the fuck not. I am going to be the nicest person on this phone to you, and you can tell like 90% of the time when you behave like that on the phone, the people you can like hear them like trying to not cry at you being so nice to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so fucked. Like, I remember, like, there's this one person, like, I like, in the span of a year, and had to call Comcast twice.
Yeah.
And I've actually gotten the same person in both of those calls, which was, like, kind of statistically unlikely, but cool. And, like, every time, like, it was really funny. Like, I don't want to, like, out anyone, so no one knows anything. But this person, like, she would, like, try and extend the length of the conversation because it was just really pleasant and like was just literally trying to talk to me. And I'm like, yo, dog, I'm just trying to fix my internet. But okay, fine, I'll fucking talk to you for 2 seconds.
Okay, so her job is like quarantine, and she was just reaching out to any other person for any form of human contact.
Because 1, you're not shitty, you didn't cuss at her. 2, you're competent and you can follow instructions. I know these things. And that is a huge thing when you're working in call centers, is if the person that you're trying to help can follow your instructions or not. And 3, I've done that before, but it's only because I don't want to take another call.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wait, this person is pleasant enough that I would hold on, please don't leave. Is there anything else I can do? Really though, is there anything else I can do?
Emotional issues we can talk through right now, like
what?
You're married. What can we do?
Well, so I mean, and here's the other thing though, is about the industry, is talking just about how shitty it is the standard and metrics that you have to have in the system for calls only being so long, for getting this so much turnaround, for having these things, and also saying things perfectly. You have a script that you have to have in every conversation to address all of their points. So the stress comes from the next call and what situation you have to fix, while maintaining a standard of conversation that's 1, awkward, 2, you don't know how this person's going to be mad or mean, and 3, you have to hold up a time standard. If not, you get paid less.
Yeah. Or they have the automatic dialing. So you have a new person talking in your ear while you're trying to finish paperwork from an old person. Like, not an old person, but, like your last
call.
Previous client.
Yeah.
So the last job that I had before the last call that I was here right before I had the baby was the supervisor for a call center that dealt with VA patients.
It dealt with what?
VA patients.
VA?
Oh,
Yes. And that was a nightmare.
there.
I'm good.
Yes, like that. Honestly, my mental health has never been so bad.
Yeah, seriously.
I was losing my hair, and I had just had a baby. I came back from maternity leave and worked 3 weeks and said, "No, I'm done.
Yeah,
I can't
that's
find do this," because it was shitty. The people were shitty. The company and what they were doing to the veterans was shitty. Like, all of it was shitty.
Yep. Which I'm impressed with your ability to leave. I didn't have that ability. I'm always scared of losing a job for some reason. And so like I will hang on to like even the shittiest job. And like my health decline started when I was working at this place.
Yes. Yes.
I was passing out at my desk, like face to my keyboard.
Yeah.
And it's stress induced. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
Oh yeah.
And this is just a Brown question. When you're working in call centers, what is the ratio, or any call center you've worked in, what was the ratio of black people on the phones to white people on the phones, as opposed to black people in supervisor positions?
Tons and tons of black people on the phones.
Yeah.
Like a mill worth of black people on the phone.
80%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the amount of managers, I would say, reflected the opposite numbers, is probably 80% white and 20% of color.
That's how I felt every time, and it's a disparity that I don't get. I mean, it's an easy job. It's just incredibly stressful.
Yeah, I'm like, is it though? Because it's actually like, I couldn't do that job. Like, I mean, we've met. I can code switch kind of, but like only so much. Like following a goddamn script and also not saying like fuck. Like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
I can't do this job if I can't say fuck. That's a step.
I think the only reason that I got hired as the supervisor for that was because I sounded white. Like, I had a sweet Southern voice.
Yep.
Like, my face did not match the way that I sounded, and so that was a positive thing.
I was up for a supervisor position at that office, and basically had it in the bag because they were going by our metrics.
Yeah.
To choose which of us was gonna get this promotion, and had it until the interview, and they saw me.
Yep.
I was like, shit. Awesome. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, I know.
You guys.
I understand it. It's racism.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys have at least all good cover names. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they look at my application, they're definitely guessing brown. Tavius is not one of those like, oh, this is probably a nice white kid, like the voice he can change into.
A goose on every time.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, ooh, white girl, Ashley.
Yeah.
Oops.
And a purple like sport coat and shit, and they're like, oh.
Nice.
Here exists.
I'll be saving the day again.
Sierra now has light on her, which she didn't before. Hi, audience. Bye, audience.
Hi, audience. Bye. Oh my god! So there's a podcast that I listen to that's actually so it's a video podcast in the like this is a video podcast like like it's just people talking, but they have people who are like audio listeners. And it's fucking hilarious because like they're just like, oh, and for the audio lessons here, fuck you, but this is what happened, and it's fucking amazing because like they're like they got a lot of people who listen to that podcast, and I'm just like, I'm here for that kind of petty like.
We don't. But I mean, you know, if you're this far in, I'm assuming you're fine with us telling you to fuck off. So we kind of started it that way. So I mean, you're probably 30 minutes in now. So hi and bye again.
And I'm assuming get cussed at.
What was that? Try it again.
I'm assuming that that's what you're here for. That like you're here for it. You're here to get cussed at.
Right. I mean, I'm assuming the brown people are here for solidarity and the white people are here to get cussed at. So
tough love or whatever.
Yeah.
What the fuck we call it.
Yeah, it's institutional.
I mean, yeah, basically, yeah. That's I can get behind that. Yeah. But all that noise.
Yeah, we'll just open these episodes now with that.
Just
Jesus.
Fuck white supremacy.
Yep.
Fine with that.
Is that like a controversial statement? Like, because I'm gonna have you explain to me why that statement is controversial. Why do you disagree with that?
Okay, so at this point, you know, that's the thing. We're here to talk about brownness and brown issues and people of color and black issues and what's going on in our world. Well, you know, at this exact moment, yeah, fuck off. We'll just have a different conversation.
Well, no, so, I mean, what's got me in, like, a fucking mood just constantly is why is the phrase Black Lives Matter so contentious? Like, why is it so fucking hard for people to say that? Why is that, like, yes, you, the listener, fuck you. Why is that so hard for you to say? Why is your response, no, but I didn't fucking say they didn't. Well, I never said that.
Because the uncontrollable need to feel included in everything. Like, if you are out of the conversation, if this conversation is not about you, then they don't want to hear it.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna anyone who's listening to this, I don't know if you've ever heard this before. I don't know if you're gonna be able to listen to this and hear it, but not everything's about you. Fuck off.
Yeah. Well,
not everything's about me. Not everything's about anyone in this conversation or anyone who's listening. Not everything's about everyone.
Well, yeah. And it's also the you know, companies and street signs and all that placating shit, which is last time we did this round, we wanted you to say Black Lives Matter. And the time before that, we wanted you to say Black Lives Matter. And the time before that. And so it's like, now you're saying Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, now I want institutional reform or you can burn it down.
Seriously.
I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like the tiny fixes. What are you guys talking about? Oh, body cams. Well, one, we've already proven we could shut those off or have video disappear. That's a pretty fucking normal thing. And then second to all that, what type body cams? What? Or we're gonna have some people overview it. Y'all should have been doing this for years, for fucking years. Like this should have been the natural process, and you guys are just now going like, oh, we're doing the things we should have been doing slightly versus taking any large steps.
But also, right? What even is it that they should? What is it they should be doing? Like I'm like so like, I'm so fucked up about like how. The idea of defunding and abolishing the police, why people are like, well, what would we do? I'm like, I don't know. What would I do the next time my house is robbed and I call somebody and they show up 3 hours later and write something down and don't do anything about it? What would I ever do? Like, cops don't do shit. All they do is they're just a sense of menacing for my whole life.
Well, that's what I'm talking about is that question only works for people for whom the system works. So like what am I going to do if the cops are gone? Well, the cops help you. They don't help me.
And even that's like kind of sometimes like, cause like I'll give it like also the fuck the All Lives Matter crowd. Cause they talk about like all this shit. Yeah. I never see anything posting about all the white people who are killed by cops. Yeah. Like, cause that's a whole fucking thing too.
Oh yeah. No. It's the conversation is about police brutality, and it's measured disproportionately to a center of the population, but doesn't mean that holistically there's not too much fucking police brutality. Yeah. So I differ from you, Josh, and the whole like. So I mean, I think police reform and the conversation of police needs to change. We still need people to investigate crime, but we also need to figure out what the conversation of crime is, because being naked in a fucking park shouldn't make people with guns show up. That's all I'm saying. Being naked and drunk in a park.
Yeah, a fucking council worker needs to show up.
Yeah, it doesn't require guns. We need to evaluate why cops are showing up. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
In so many situations, we don't need a gun present.
But I think cops need to go through some therapy as well. Like every time that they encounter domestic abuse, every time that they encounter a rape, a murder, anything like that, they need to go through intensive therapy for that. They need to go through diversity training. Like that's not, diversity training should not be an optional thing when they become a police officer and saying that you're upholding the law, you're protecting citizens. It's not a picking and choosing of which citizens you're protecting.
Exactly.
Or, yeah, that's.
And it shouldn't be a one-time thing.
No.
Like, you go to diversity training or you go to this for the one class, you know, and then off doing your, there's not like continuous training. There's not, this has changed. There's, you know, it's just one and done.
So yeah, I was listening to The Sporkful the other day, which is another podcast that's way famouser than ours. But they have some interesting conversations occasionally about food and race, which it's not fully a racial podcast, but they have a lot of conversations about it because they are inherently sort of tied together. But in the conversation, one of the business owners was saying the way that he promotes diversity and like open conversations and things in his restaurant is he has people have conversations about, you know, what happens if, say, our business opens up on a Saturday morning and a black couple walks in and you think, I'm going to take them to the nicest seat, so you take them to the back of the house. And then a white couple comes in and say a different situation and a different day, and there's the same thing, and you take them to the back of the house. And both of them are the best seat. But the black couple is going to think, you want to hide us away. Because that's the nature of what you're doing there in their perspective. And so the white people are thinking, oh, I have the nicest seat. The black people think you want to hide me away. And you automatically have a fucking issue there. You automatically, the white waiter is going to be, black people are going to be pissed off at the white waiter already because they feel like they're discriminated. And people need to be aware of these conversations, just like police need to be aware of social situations that they're involved in and how the nuances play between race, between situation, between culture and community. And none of the people with guns need to be showing up at half of the shit that's going on.
No. I mean,
peaceful thoughts. Those are my regular thoughts.
How many years has, you know, has England had their freaking street cops don't carry guns?
I mean,
you have to like you have to like, I mean, yes, fuck London, fuck England, but also, yeah, they're cops though. You have to go through a whole lot. By the way, Audie is on her way, so expect
cool.
that. Yeah.
Cool.
Like, you have to go through a lot of paperwork to get a fucking gun.
Yeah.
As like an active, and that's true for a lot of cops in a lot of countries. Not all countries. Hashtag not all countries. God, I fucking hate everything.
Man.
Shit. But like a lot of cops, like either do not have weapons, literally have no access to weapons, or if they do, it'll be like some shit like a baton, where like, trust, you can fucking beat the shit out of a person with a baton.
Yeah, most conversations can be ended with a baton. Like, I mean, honestly, like if you're trained how to use it, you can usually take care of a lot of situations with that.
Right. And that being said, how many countries just don't have even a like, it's like to the point where it's exponential how many more gun-related deaths by police officers there are in this country versus other countries.
Right.
Like, and it's not even just like countries where like guns are illegal or hard to get a hold of. Some of them are in countries where guns are more or less legal. Like, and they have relatively like open carry-ish policies. It's just there's a culture here that's so fucking toxic. And like also like police training here is a goddamn joke. You can get it quicker than you can get a fucking associate's degree, which is just amazing. Oh my god, it's Audra's face.
Hi.
And I can hear you.
Hello, Petunia, and I say hello.
Hi.
I miss you. Oh, you're so lovely.
Hi, listeners, again. For 1 second, that's Audra Harvey is just joined the conversation. Also, bye-bye, listeners, again.
So, anyways, We're talking about police violence.
I got here just in time.
Oddly enough,
yeah,
this came up naturally. No prompts or anything.
No, like, I mean, it's not like there are any current events that would, like, lead you there.
Yeah, it's weird.
None. But I don't know, like, it's just fucked how it is easier to become a cop here than it is to get a 4-year degree. Like, that's bad. That's, like, especially since, like, I will say something that is a kind of pro-cop statement that I'll say is we put too much, it's like really hashtag kind of, because, like, we put too much emphasis on what cops even should be doing here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, cops shouldn't be the first people we call for most of these like situations. Like, be it like, because we've got them out there doing shit like basic like traffic stops, which is like okay maybe, but also then they like show up for all of like the domestic house shit. They show up for like, oh shit, a construction worker needs someone to direct traffic. Like,
well, and I mean, here's the other thing is like everybody's got the homeless. Like, people with guns shouldn't show up for taking care of the homeless, and people are always like, well, what if they do something crazy? Well, half the time they are mentally unstable and they do need help, or they're just poor and homeless and they need help. This crazy homeless person, I've spent a lot of time with homeless people just because I've been homeless a lot of times and I like homeless people, but like, what is this idea that like every homeless person who's showing up at something needs a dude with a gun to scare him off?
Seriously, it's not necessary. I don't understand. I've had good experiences with cops, just as I've had shitty experiences with cops.
Yeah.
So I'm not bringing up it's not all cops, because fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It not being all cops. It's about
yet again, a few bad apples ruin the whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that phrase so much.
A few bad apples.
Because
I think part of the problem is that when we talk about, like other countries not having the gun issue that we have, or not having the police brutality issue that we have, is that our country has such a, what is it called? Like we say Pledge of Allegiance in the schools. We are very nationalist. We're very patriotic. Like we're almost like a teenager. Like, no. Let me not take any advice from anybody. Let me not look at how any other countries are doing it. I've got this. We are very unwilling to learn or take ideas or admit where we are struggling because as a country.
We're a young country. We haven't been around for thousands of years like these other fucking civilizations. Like, we are babies. And the fact that we're not taking knowledge from people who are still around is fucking insane to me.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, to me, though, that all inherently ties to manifest destiny, which is, we keep going, like, this whole us taking the nation over, us killing all the people is our godly mission. It is what God sent us here to do. And we keep this still concept that, like, God blessed us with being able to rule over everything, including other people who were brown. Like, it's the area, though, that still keeps going for the nature of preference of stuff, which is God justifies America and America's actions, even if they're horrific inside and a lot of times outside the country.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hate Manifest Destiny, and I get a little energetic.
I'm with you.
Audra, what's your thoughts on Manifest Destiny?
What are my thoughts on Manifest Destiny? Man, I should state before we get into this, I'm on a lot of pain meds, and I'm real high right now.
That's fine. It's fine.
I'm not sure if I'm real or if you're real.
All of us are.
Yeah, back to your point on homeless people.
By the way, Audra does have a medical reason for what she is on.
I do have a medical reason. I got to have a lovely migraine earlier.
Goodbye, Audra.
Yay! Your point on homeless people, and like why they're viewed as like just like an automatic danger, right? Well, that goes back to like the whole founding of the country is on this idea that men who own property who are white are the best version of human, or even the only version of human.
Right.
And so that was part of the idea of Manifest Destiny is, well, these Native Americans are just wasting all of this land, like, you know, where there are vast armies and like, you know, world-ending weapons. Like, there was just this idea that because there was a very different relationship between a person and the land I mean, obviously Native American cultures are not monolithic, so there's a lot of different representations of that, what that relationship is and what it looks like. But the idea of property ownership came with Europe, right?
Right.
So like that idea of like you can own the land, first of all, but then also the mere nature of the fact that you do own the land means that you are superior and really the only person who like deserves to be in charge of the law and the power establishment and all the institutions.
Right.
So those without land can go fuck off.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that is definitely a massive symptom of what was the sheriff previously in Nashville was he wrote a thing where I think Audrey you shared it, but he said in it that we like to be happy about the way we deinstitutionalized the mental health and the insane asylums and all that stuff, but all we did is institutionalize these people into the criminal system.
Absolutely. Well, and that goes back into also of like the connections between racism and ableism, which I can totally rant about at some point if anyone would enjoy.
We'll do another one of these, or you can feel free right now. It's an open conversation.
I'm here for it.
Looking at like the very establishment of race involves words are falling out of my brain because again, migraines. But basically like using this ideal of like a normative human being a white property owning male.
Yeah.
And who is able-bodied, who doesn't need to quote depend on anyone, even though obviously he depends on all other humans.
It depends on literally everybody.
Right? Yeah. Like that whole bit of the myth, I was like, really, guys? You read your own notes? No? Okay.
I built this company myself. And you're like, what about the 50?
Myself.
What about the 50 people who work for you?
Even like the statement of like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, like did you make the boots? But anyway.
And secondly, it's an impossibility. That phrase is people understand that as a misnomer, just like bad apples.
Seriously.
True story.
You can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps. No. That's the point.
Right. But anyway, so like this, like the ways in which we decided what quote unquote a normal person was based around this idea of what you can produce, what you can, you know, it's based on these false ideas of intellectualism, based on these false ideas of, you know, racial superiority. And that goes into this idea of the able-bodied working male, right? Which is now the pinnacle of everything.
Yeah.
So however far you are from that norm, in whatever direction you are distanced from that norm, you are institutionalized at one point in our history, right? Well, we don't institutionalize anymore, but we totally do, because that's just in the prison system and or the healthcare system.
Absolutely.
So wherever we go, there are absolutely still ways in which racism and ableism join together to keep people institutionalized and dependent on services that don't even help the needs that they have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, sorry, Josh. Do you want to go?
Yeah. So something that this is related, I promise. Something I've been working on in therapy a lot recently has been specifically decolonizing my thoughts. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that has come into internal work that I'm doing with my like ableism against myself.
Yep.
And just like general just general, like, you know, accepting of the parts of me that are neurodivergent and disabled, and also not trying to whitewash myself. Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say the same thing about therapy, but like basically the conversations I'm having is about my therapist is just like, why do you feel bad if you're not always productive? And I was like, I don't know, but like every minute of the day that I'm not doing something that's perceived as productive, like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm less of a man and need to beat myself up, or less of a person, because I'm not like, I don't take vacations very well unless they're at amusement parks, because rides distract me. Like going woo is really distracting. But like other than that, I don't do vacations well because I'm spending most of the time thinking about shit that I should be doing. Because if not, then everybody's gonna look at me like I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, honestly, mostly we're just looking at ourselves as a piece of shit, which is like fucked in its own right. Like that's been like a kind of like relating this conversation back to like quarantine things. Like that's been a really hard thing for me. Is like I'm not creating that much right now. Like I am doing some stuff, but it is like my pace has slowed down to like a snail's pace in regards to just the things that I'm working on. Like, because one, I can't play music with people, so like, what's the point? And then also, like, you know, I just sometimes I'm too depressed to get out of my bed.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
the project that we're working on, Josh, it was just one of those things that like for a week the thought of like plugging up my laptop and my mic system and setting it up in my closet was exhausting. Like I just couldn't process like how to roll over and do it. Like I get home from work, then I just sit and smoke and think and feel bad about myself for not doing it.
That's literally all I've been doing about the photo work that I'm backed up on, is that I will sit down to go edit and just have a panic attack. I don't get why. Am I crackling?
Yes, you are.
I think it might be Sierra.
My bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Sierra.
Is it still happening?
No.
I think it's because I had my phone set down.
Okay.
No, it's massive anxiety about stuff that would normally take me no time, and like hyperventilating, kind of like freaking out anxiety, which I understand, and it's crossing over into other dumb shit, like well, like I haven't scheduled an appointment with my therapist, even though I got a message that she was like, hey, we're doing telehealth appointments if you still want to schedule, you know, stuff, and great. But she's POC as well. And for me, I feel like I don't want to schedule a therapy appointment because I'm worried that I'm going to burden my therapist. Like,
yeah, during this time right now, it seems like a bad idea to be like, I need to relieve my stress to another black person. Like,
okay, so what I will say is this is the one context in which I will fully disagree with that thought because I feel the same way. My therapist is also black. And the one thing that we are doing, though, is we are fucking paying them to do that work.
That's fair.
Which is a fuck ton different than like when I'm coming at some like random ass stranger I don't know online to like do some fucking lead work for me. Like, hello, can you please explain to me racism? And also, even if you provide links, I need you to specifically explain it to me. Like, that is like such a different like thing. Like, you're not asking that person to do that work. You are paying them for the services of doing the work that they want to do.
Right. Which I understand, and like my conscious brain understands this. I'm able to go to doctors, like doctors, and have the same type of thing. If someone's trying to rush me out, I have no problem with doctors being like, I'm sorry, I am paying you, slow the fuck down, and going on. But when it comes to like therapy and emotional shit, I don't know. It's like, I don't want you to go home and cry. Like,
well, that's like any good therapist has a therapist also.
Yeah.
Like, also, yet again, you're paying them to go home and cry. Shush, shush.
There's nothing problematic about that statement.
Yeah, maybe not how I would frame it, but
no, I would maybe want to dissect that a little bit.
I never said this podcast was educational.
Oh, I'm learning a lot.
Specifically,
something that my therapist actually does just out of purely frustration. After like, I can see that. Like you're so, you understand what's going on in your brain, but you just don't do the right stuff. And I'm like, I know.
I mean, how much of therapy is just kind of like figuring out your own bullshit, though?
Yeah, it's been less figuring it out because I know what my issues are.
But figuring out how to deal with your bullshit.
Or realizing that I don't have to deal with it at all. Being told, before
Before what? Repeat. Sorry, you cut out again.
For the
Quarantine?
plague, death, and decay, and raining down plague, I was trying to get a job at the National Humane Association taking photos for their adoptions, right? And I was talking to my therapist about it and going like, I need to get a portfolio together. It really shouldn't be that hard, but it's causing me, again, a lot of anxiety. And I want to get this done sooner rather than later, but I just can't seem to finish it. And she goes, I have a question. What would happen if you didn't apply for that job? And I went, like,
oh fuck! I didn't think of that possibility. Wait, you mean I could just not?
but I want to. She's like, but you're freaking out about it. So why are you trying to still do this? I'm like, because I want to do it. I think. No, not doing something was an option. Like, that's just that kind of dumb stuff. And having to, and not being out around people to be able to gauge my own behavior against, realize when I'm being insane. Like, up for 7 hours in the middle of the night, just organizing my embroidery thread.
Well, and I mean, Ashley's additional problem is like the only other person she usually sees is me, and I'm not a good balance for insanity. Like, I'm not the guy that's just like, oh yeah, follow his lifeline. Like, he's got the plan. No.
It does make it rough when you are a person with severe obsessive compulsive disorder and you're talking to a person with bipolar disorder.
I'm laughing out of love.
Sometimes I'll be like, honey, your project is fateless and hopeless, and you should stop doing everything you're doing and lay there. And other times I'm like, yeah, let's sell it on Etsy and we can make 45,000.
Let's do everything ever. Oh wait, let's do nothing ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I want to do both right now at the same time.
which is terrible because then my reaction is, yeah, okay, I'll start embroidering a bunch of shit, and then we'll do that. Or it's like, no, we should.
Oh my god.
Okay.
This like actually speaks like really at home for me, because that is like, Allie is that kind of, Allie is more in your camp, Ash.
Yeah.
And I am very much tape camp.
Yeah.
And
it's rough.
it's is it do all of it forever or nothing matters and I want to die? I don't know. Let's find out.
Like, do one thing and then do some nothing? Can we not do like both? Like, why is it got to be so on the opposite sides? But
yeah.
I had a Tave, you actually gave me a good breakthrough, something I needed when we were talking the other night, because I was feeling guilty because I clean obsessively now because I feel like I have nothing to do, and I'm a person who doesn't like to not have a purpose. I feel worthless if I don't have a purpose, so I try to give myself a purpose, even if it's a dumb one. And Tave, what you said to me was like, you're disabled. You are on Social Security disability for your disability. You're on the dole. Like, why aren't you being an artist?
Yeah.
And I went, shit.
Yeah.
I got some off podcast shit to talk to you about, because I have a feeling that we can help each other out.
Seriously.
A lot. By like a lot. You have no idea.
Okay. Like, the thought hadn't occurred to me that, like, you're sick and it's okay to, like, just do art.
Yeah.
Just not a possibility. Like, in my head, I've got to work myself to the ground to make sure that I'm helping and carrying my weight and that kind of shit. But
yeah.
Which isn't internalized ableism at all.
Right, definitely not that. Well, I'm even thinking of it. Yeah, I'm even thinking of it slightly beyond the ableism part, though, because this is a thing that I deal with. I have zero income right now. I am a useless pile of shit when it comes to that right now. And it is, like, really scary for a lot of reasons. And Allie is not in that position.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm entirely funded by another human being.
Right.
And that is...
Terrifying.
I have some feelings about it.
Yeah.
I have worked through a lot of those feelings and now have a relationship with it that is no longer toxic.
Right.
But I still, like, it's fucking hard. Because it's also really weird because then it turns into that, like, you know, talking about, like, oh, I can just work on art. Specifically, oh, I can just work on this, like, thing that I want to do for, like, there's no end goal for it. I just want to do it because I want to do it. And it's like, well, actually, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Which is, like, getting there is... This is months of me working on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, even yes, you should, you know?
Yeah.
I would say that's still very connected with internalized ableism because the idea that your value is tied to your worth as a producer or a worker in society or a capital owner. These are all like your value is tied to the economic system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that you are intrinsically valuable regardless of what you're producing is really like completely counterintuitive to our society.
But it's so hard to do, especially going from, for me, it wasn't a gradual slip, you know, because I was either working 70 to 80 hours a week, you know, and then I just got sick and went home.
Yeah.
It was just...
That's how it was for me. Yeah.
There wasn't this, I lose my mobility, I lose my, you know, there wasn't a gradual decline. It was just, damn, you can't contribute. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I went from working 70 hours a week to being in bed for almost a year. So like, you're hitting the wall, right? Like there's no like put your toe in the water and see what the temperature's like. It's
almost like overworking yourself is bad.
It is almost as if, well, and I can definitely say now, part of why I overworked myself, part of why I drove myself to produce so much was because I knew my health was declining. Right. I knew I was on a plateau that was gradually sinking until I got to the edge of the cliff. And then it was like, I knew, I just like, it was always knowledge in the back of my head, right? But I had so many voices telling me that everything was okay. I think your point on the anxiety, I think there's an element to this, not to make anyone's anxiety worse, but like,
good luck with that.
Right. Part of what's so difficult about being in this wonderful little pandemic situation that we're in is like, for those of us who are immunocompromised, we have no idea how many years this is our reality now.
I mean, we were joking about when before Ash got on here, even like we were kind of joking about like, oh, how long? Like I'm kind of mentally preparing myself for not being able to go outside for half a decade.
Yeah.
At least 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I hope that we are wrong. I hope that we get a vaccine way before then. But that's not how
works and doesn't kill a bunch of people.
Also that. But
at least a vaccine for me before I even consider letting my guard down at all. And like I've had social distance with a couple of people, but you know, it's always outside. So that happened for me this now because it's summer in Tennessee and 1 million degrees and I pass out in the heat. So hanging out outside with people is not an option. Going in and sitting someplace just to kind of chill and get my stress out, also not an option.
Yeah.
Like I get nervous even in parks now because people are dumb and are not looking at the space around them. And so they're like, oh, I'm 6 feet away from the person in front of me, but like what's going on with the person behind you kind of shit. So
they're like actually licking the person behind them. Like, why is this not working?
So I'm like terrified just to go out and then I'm stuck inside, which is making me lose my mind. And I want to be able, it's taken a long time to even acknowledge that I'm losing my mind. Because being at home alone and doing my own thing is very comfortable for me. Like, I'm real happy here. So,
but happy doesn't mean you're doing what's good for you.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's all unhealthy things. All of the unhealthy things. But I'm like realizing that I don't have a hobby.
Yeah.
Because every hobby that I pick up, I turn into work.
Yep.
Wait, what is hobby?
Exactly.
I don't know. I'll let you know if I figure it out.
Isn't that one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
Hobby?
that was Merry and Pippin's
So-
triplet sister.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the house elf.
It was the Malfoy hobby.
Right, because also
hobby.
fuck J.K. Rowling.
Yep.
Amen.
Yeah.
Preaching the
Seriously.
gospel here with Josh Dent. Fuck TERFs.
Way to lose it real fast, lady. Way to lose it real
I mean,
fast.
she's been pulling this shit for years. Like,
Yeah.
this is actually not new shit, but goddamn, she is just like, ooh, like,
Has
she
it
went,
occurred to her she could just not talk?
I ask that often, just thinking about white people in general. Like, you could have just not said something. Ashley's got words.
What did she say? Did she say a thing that I didn't know? Or she just...
Oh
She's
shit.
just really super turfy right now. I mean, like, just going off on a whole bunch of, like, not just, like, recently debunked anti-trans science, but, like, long time ago, this was all debunked. like and just, like...
Anti-trans statements?
Yeah, and just running her mouth all the time and getting, like, Twitter mobs going against trans people, and then claiming that she's being persecuted when she gets criticism. She helped organize this letter that's like, you read the letter, it sounds like a super vague, like, pro-free speech kind of thing. But in reality, it was referencing all of this bullshit, but she didn't tell everyone that they got to sign the letter, that that's what the letter was about. And so there's like 150 people who signed this letter, and a whole bunch of them on the list. Some of them are actually trans, and they didn't know what the letter was about. And so,
well, the letter also, like, I would actually love for everyone here to read that letter, because it is a few hundred words saying nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It says nothing.
Like, it's because it gets to, I like understand the idea of being open to discourse. I do. It's important. We need discourse. I hope we all have internal discourse constantly. That's how you get better as a person. However, letters like this, because it says so little and is so unspecific, it's just like, basically, like, it's like a free pass for people who are like J.K. Rowling, who are fucking like, well, clearly you're just being unintellectual by not engaging with me in a discussion about why trans people aren't actually trans people. Like, fuck you. I don't need to fucking argue my own goddamn existence to you. Fuck off with that. Like, there's a difference between intellectual discourse and you just being a shit-ass human being.
Oh, and you need to prove yourself to me.
Right. Like, fuck, like why do I need to prove my experience to you, rich white lady? Like,
don't understand several things, all the things. But what I really don't understand is, like, people like that who, what does that have to do with you?
Not one goddamn thing.
What I said, she had the option to shut her mouth.
Seriously? Are you trans? Is a family member trans? Are you going through an issue with a trans person right now and you are now having, like, no, none of this shit. It's just people who are not connected to you and you are bored.
Yeah, like, so by the way, I'd just like to note that Audra found one of the good and possibly only times where you could say she could have shut her mouth and it's fine.
It's
out of Solvent, she could have shut her mouth.
You know, I swear to God, that is like a mantra that like more people could really take up with themselves, is maybe I should just shut my goddamn mouth.
Yep, yeah. A word to Karens out there. Just shut your goddamn mouth.
I probably saw me posting on Facebook while ago, back when I could look at Facebook without
Having an
Wanting to die.
being traumatized every time.
feeling the clot burst in my fucking brain.
Yeah.
There was a guy who on Twitter, my approach to masculinity is the two Rogers,
Yes.
which is if Fred Rogers or Steve Rogers wouldn't do it, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I a little bit love that.
That's
A little bit.
No.
Like,
because you have the compassion and the understanding and the willingness to talk to somebody from Fred Rogers, and then you also have but I'll also beat your ass in an elevator of fucking Captain America. So it's you're still smart, you're still assessing your situation, but just put it through those two filters.
And just
Keep your mouth shut.
And just to be clear for any listeners or people out there, Hydra Disney covered to be Nazis. Hydra in the comic are Nazis.
They are not.
Nazis come from Hydra, just to be clear. So punching Nazis is still fine.
Oh yeah.
punching Nazis is Disney canon.
Yep.
Totally good with that.
In an elevator if you want.
Yep. Totally fine with that. I mean, everyone can punch a Nazi.
Yeah, that's a good song.
It's-
I think
I mean, and if you can't, I'm sure you can ask someone to punch a Nazi for you.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
there should be an exchange program.
Maybe don't.
Can you help contribute to our cause to help your disabled friends punch Nazis too?
God.
I think you've got something there.
I think so.
Money for like heritage trips for white people.
Shit. Oh, that's so good.
We'll take
You too.
We'll take you to Denmark. You can go farm for like 6 weeks. Or yeah, like, hey, we're gonna take you down and you're gonna have to live with Klansmen.
And you have to punch them all.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Live the
I
experience.
was really concerned by this plan.
Who's
just
really
want-
concerned by that plan?
Like, even white people's safety. Like, I don't know. Like, you've got to punch them all, but you got to go in with the right mindset. Like, don't be swayed by the dark side.
You're worried about the people who go in and just being turned and then
Yeah.
adding to the force.
I mean,
Oh, great.
I mean, you know what? That's what make. Okay, so this is like a pretty good topic, actually. Like, I know we're fucking around right now, but like, something that has really been fucking with me is how many people are like, well, I would have been able to listen to the people on the left, but then they said a mean thing to me, and now I'm gonna talk to Nazis, and I'm like, oh, so like if someone's a little bit mean to you, you can't like fucking get over your shit and still be a good person?
No.
Like, very
Even
clearly,
fuck
you were already a terrible person.
I'm sorry you were triggered by white privilege, but
Yeah.
you'll be
Yeah.
okay.
It's not.
I'm
It's a combination of being by both white privilege and laziness, because it's asking for so much more work than they've needed to put in this whole time. And that's not saying, like, I'm actually really, really impressed with a lot of my white friends in this past month and a half. I did not expect as many as I have seen to
like actually do some fucking work.
Yeah. And I mean, like, not the reposting articles and being like, can you believe this? This is bullshit. Blah, blah.
Look, another black man was lynched.
Like, it's like, yeah, I know we're watching too, but it's it's
Yes, I know. I've been watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, been here. There are friends that are legit reading books, watching documentaries. Like, I'm getting messages from like private messages going, hey, I was trying to explain this to a friend and I have run out of arguments. Can you help me form a better argument to try and convince them of, like, that is a question that I freaking love. It's research, I've exhausted all of the avenues that I know. Now can you help me? And I'm like, yes, absolutely, I can help you.
Which I do love, but I'm somewhere between the side that you're on there, Ash, and probably the side that Josh is on, which is when you ask me, I'm just like, burn it down, burn that person down. Whoever you're arguing with, fuck them. How about that? Just like, I know it's not the right response for everybody or sometimes the healthiest one, but my thoughts also, it's just like, why are you arguing with somebody who's trying to prove their racism? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that there's a place for informing, but arguments, and especially the internet, are never that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and I'm happy to be proven wrong in that regard. Like, I am so happy if you, Mr. Racist White Guy, actually go, oh shit, I have work to do, and then you start doing that work. Like, please prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Please. It does me no. I feel not bad about being wrong about this. Like, I actually feel pretty good about being wrong about that.
I think the most exhausting thing for me is having that conversation with family members, because it's not somebody on the internet that I can be like, I'm just going to unfriend you and not have to ever see you or talk to you again.
Oh, I cut their asses out too.
Yeah. I mean, I can unfriend them too, but
Burn it down.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about unfriending. I mean, I'm deleting your shit. I'm blocking your phone number. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how you related to me.
And that's
you can't.
I wish I had the balls. I wish I really did, because that message that I sent, you know, like the other night, and you guys saw it, but the dealing with a family member that is legit posting racist shit, or like, I don't care stuff about Black Lives Matter. Like, why is this a thing? I'm still here. Like,
I'm literally still here being black. So like.
Yeah.
I'm still here being your genetic property, black. like
seriously. So like, it's hard to, I don't know, the drop you and I'm never going to talk to you again, because I've always been a person that's like, I'm going to keep trying. I don't care how many times you fuck me over.
Yeah.
Keep trying literally until I fall over. But
I'm pointing at like, it doesn't look like, it looks like I'm pointing at myself, but I'm actually pointing at Tave. That's my response.
No, but he's always been that way. I have to be the person to convince him, hey boo, you know, the let the bridges you burn light your way is not a great way to live your life.
I don't know. It's actually done really solid for me.
It's pretty
like,
bright,
it's been solid for it's been pretty solid for my mental health as well. Because like, I pull that, I don't like, that's why like I'm really thankful, like, you know, kind of going back to that like career conversation stuff. I'm really grateful that I made the decision to like be a freelance artist, because I've burned a lot of bridges. I continue to burn bridges on a very regular and constant basis, because this ain't changing for you. I don't, fuck you. Like, if you got a problem with who I am as a person, and that does extend to family though. And I understand why that's difficult. Well, because quite frankly, like, I don't think, maybe if I had different childhood trauma, maybe I wouldn't feel this way about it.
Sure.
But like, my family situation is very much informed of cutting ties anyways.
Yeah.
I think
because
for me,
racism.
my entire childhood, I can't just limit it to childhood. My entire life, my adulthood has been trying to find a place that fits.
Yeah.
Within my family, on both sides. With my white side, my dad's black side, is finding a place that fits. And so now having those conversations and realizing that I'm once again on the outside.
Yeah.
A lot of what they are thinking and feeling is just kind of reaffirming some of those insecurities. Not saying that I don't want to be on the outside of what they're thinking and feeling, but it's an internal struggle that I am trying to work through, of not fitting, like not being a part, if that choosing that side of, am I white, am I black?
Well, yeah, this whole Black Lives Matter thing is, I am readdressing my privilege that I know that I have. Like,
Yep.
I've known it's been there, like, and I've used it to my advantage, I have to say. Like, seriously, if it is going to let me in someplace, I've used the tool that is open to me, which is what you and I were talking about, the passing the paper bag The paper
Yeah,
bag.
the brown paper bag test. We all passed the brown paper bag test. For the audience who does not know what that is, they're back in Jim Crow era and even much longer. There was
Yep.
a thing about black people being only included if you were lighter than a brown paper bag. Bye-bye, audience, again.
So, like, it was something, I'm having to come to terms with this too, that I was actually taught, and it's like I was prepped for growing up. Like, hey, you've got an advantage. Use this if you can.
Yeah.
Because you are white enough to be their friend, and, you know, use that angle. But it took a lot of, what's the word? I don't know. I was fighting with myself whether or not to actually feel active, get active in the movement this time, because generally I'm not an activist. Like, I'm really not. So
Well, okay. So something that I will say to that is we are in a very unique and weird position in that matter, because I hear what you're saying, because light skin privilege is a fucking thing, and that is something we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
That's something that, like, we have varying relationships within this group from our own just like social contracts and whatever. That being said, it is not, speaking as black people, it is not our job to be doing the work that white people need to be doing right now. Or really just non-black POC. Like, if you're not black or indigenous, like, there's a shit ton of work right now that needs to be done, and you need to be doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's really, it's hard, because, like, I feel similarly in that, like, you know, I don't know, there's probably more that I could be doing, but also by my existing and talking about the shit that I do, that is activism. Us having this conversation is activism.
Yeah.
Like,
I had
So
to.
here, oh, sorry, go.
No, I'm like, I understand that, and the logical center of my brain gets that, but the frustration of being immunocompromised, not being able to go out, not being able to take part, not being able to support people who need my support, and feeling like I'm failing at when I am posting information and screaming opinions and stuff on social media to people, trying to get people to listen. It's I almost feel like I go, okay, so now you've listened to me, go listen to real black people. Like, I feel like
yo, that's a therapy conversation right there, if I've ever heard one.
So, like, the like, I want to be interested enough to care about real black people. It's like, I'm your
What about you isn't a real black person?
No, I understand that. Like, I understand
Well,
that.
I'm asking your irrational side. What about you isn't a black person?
And nothing. It's not, I have the same issues. I still can't get into the same place. I still get side eye from people. Like, it hasn't changed. But
you're still black, yeah.
But, like, also, I know when this whole conversation about police brutality is going on, that saying, am I scared of cops? Yes. Do I think that I'm going to get beat down? Generally not. And that's because of my skin tone.
So I wonder how that,
but not you.
So I wonder, you're in the car with Tave. How does that opinion change? You're in the car with Tave. How does that change?
Oh no,
because
absolutely terrifying, because I'm worried. But you see, I'm still not
worried for Tave, but also, what's your risk in that situation?
Yeah, I'm no longer scared for me.
Sure, and I understand that you're scared for Tave, but in that situation, you're probably just as much at risk as I mean, because, like, let's be frank, y'all go out, you're a brown ass couple.
Yep.
Oh, I absolutely.
There's also, in terms of, like, the conversation right now is primarily focused around police brutality, and that's really important.
Yeah.
The next conversation we're gonna have to have is about racism in healthcare.
Yep.
Because when people are saying, well, we just need to have social workers, we need to have mental health professionals, awesome, all that's great.
Yep.
What
We also need not racist doctors.
now more of the danger is on women and femme presenting people, as opposed to with police, it's on men and masculine presenting people.
Yeah, that's true.
So like your danger isn't in the same place, because race and gender obviously intersect.
Yep.
Right? That's a thing.
Yeah, it's you know, this is funny. This is probably way TMI for like everybody involved, but you know what? We're gonna go there. So you know, I was looking for like, you know, I'm in my 30s. Like I need to start looking. There's just certain medical things that I need to start looking at with my body.
Totally.
And like I was trying to find like, how do I find a not racist trans inclusionary urologist?
Yes. For real.
What? Like I gotta find someone.
Resources for you.
It's not the easiest Google. I mean, it's not the
Trans black friendly urologist. Let's go.
Nashville.
So actually, surprisingly,
No, go ahead.
the internet, you can connect me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong, but it actually does look like Vanderbilt has a pretty solid set of resources for that exact thing.
They do.
Because like they like actually like have a whole LGBTQ plus page that's like, these are all of our doctors with statements on this shit. And like there's actually a urologist on that page, and I was like,
they have legit stepped up their game.
They have.
Being like inclusionary and making sure that they're treating the whole person as opposed to just what is physically presenting with you. That's one of the things that I'm loving about the OSHA and OSHA Center for Integrative Health is that that's their deal. Is like you're gonna get physical therapy, you're gonna get med management, but you're also going to get therapy. You're going to get like mindfulness meditation classes. You're going to take like pain management meditation, and you know, figuring out how to like turn off pain centers in your brain, like all different stuff to like help is awesome.
yeah.
This episode of The Mixer not brought to you by Vanderbilt.
Not sponsored.
But please give me money. I'm technically I'm an artist in residence at Vanderbilt. Like maybe. Also, I would love to have some healthcare. Vanderbilt.
Right?
Hey.
Actually, there is something that you were talking about earlier when you were talking about like struggling with your family.
Yeah.
And I just have a thought like going in that. In some ways, it's easier for me because my grandmother was such an overt racist. It was real obvious.
Yeah, fuck my grandmother.
Right?
On my mom's side.
Like, and
My dad's mom was lovely.
She also had the grace to die. And that's a horrible statement. But
Oh no. When my mom's mom died, I was just straight up like my mom texted me and my response was, good, the world's better now.
right?
That's
I feel it. I totally feel it because my grandmother was like legit. I'm not gonna dig into any of that because
I know.
You know, I bet I can find that text
limit
message.
my understanding of my own emotional boundaries, and I'm on a lot of meds right now. So I have no idea what to say.
I understand.
But Ash, when you're trying to figure out like your relationship to white privilege,
Yeah,
you don't owe whiteness allegiance at all.
that's
So,
fair.
like even as, because I'm the whitest person here, right?
Right.
You can't tell in my video because I have my lighting set to please don't trigger a migraine again. But like, I don't owe whiteness allegiance.
Yeah,
I had ethnic heritage from the whiteness that informs who I am because I have a relationship with those ancestors.
right.
Whiteness is a system that erases. All it exists to do is maintain institutional power for a certain group of people. And here's the thing is they will tell me I can participate. They will tell me I can join. What they mean is as long as I'm really good and assimilated and keep my mouth shut, they'll let me stand there and not say anything about their racist jokes. That's what they actually mean. So like the picture that I have in my head is, you know, Lucy and Charlie Brown?
Yep, football.
Yeah, so like I really, really try to be a good little assimilated white girl, right? And let go of my indigenous heritage and let go of my black heritage. I legitimately put some time in that when I was younger.
Yep.
And every time I believed someone, sure you belong here, go for the football, land on my head.
Exactly.
of the time. So like when I think of it that way, like I absolutely have to own my light skin privilege. I absolutely have to ensure that I'm not upholding white supremacy because I have, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, again, I don't owe them anything.
Yeah.
All they've done is steal from me. All they've done is steal from my ancestors.
Yeah. It's rough when it's blood.
It is rough.
Thankfully, I know, but you're different. Different though. Like
Ash just told me I was different on a mixed podcast. I'm different though. That was just what happened.
everything to the ground, and I have to convince you to keep shit. I keep everything, and you have to convince me to burn shit.
Okay,
And
what I
sometimes,
think is really
though-
funny about this, though, I just have to say, is because Tavius in my life is the person who tells me not to burn shit to the ground.
That's because you're actually more likely to burn things down than Ash is.
I am, but I just think it's really funny that, like,
Tave is like that different linchpin for both of y'all's.
right?
Like,
Because on me, like, I know for a fact that if I want to burn shit to the ground, I have to call Tave and I have to call John Royal. And if they both say I can burn it to the ground, it's going down, right?
that's actually John Morrill is probably actually like what we need to have him on this podcast at some point.
That was
like,
that was the next in 2 weeks from now. That was the plan.
yeah. No, I'm like that just need honestly. I could just use the point of positive, like black positivity. Honestly, because like I'm depressed as shit, and I could use some like happy black people.
Yeah. My favorite thing about him is he'll call me and he'll be like, I am so pissed. I just need to talk some shit through. I just want to burn everything to the ground. And I was like, you know I'm here for this. And we talk and we vent. We get to the end and I'm real fucking pissed. And he's like, yeah, I feel so much better. Shit.
John's
Well,
like, I
that's
feel
why-
so much better, and I'm over there with the match, and just like,
Right.
what? Huh? What? Oh, we're not doing that.
Oh,
Okay,
No, you
okay,
have
I'm
them.
sorry.
You won't let me burn shit to the ground either.
Yeah, I know. No, that's not true. Some things.
Okay, like 1 out of every 100 times that I want to burn something.
You want to burn a lot of shit.
You do. He's not wrong.
What's with this? It's true. I'm there with you. I am there with you, my sibling. I'm so there. I want to burn it all down.
Hug you.
Oh, what is a hug like? What is
I don't
that?
know. I don't remember.
What are hugs?
Dude, I'm about to
It's-
shit all over again, and it took me 20 years to be okay with hugging people, and now I'm gonna have to redo this.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be the first time we all hang out again, whenever that may happen.
No one's touching me.
Oh no, it's so you can do that, and I'm fully there. I'm going to be hugging everyone who will even a little bit accept a hug, and I'm probably not letting go for like
Oh, no.
way too long.
So,
I mean,
so,
honestly, when Josh and I see each other again, that would be like a 15-minute hug.
Yeah,
I
I mean, yeah, pretty much easy.
think even after getting a vaccination, I'm still gonna show up in like a level 4 decontamination suit to like every single function.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be really weird if my hug with Tavius lasts longer than my hug with you.
It
I am going.
will be a high five.
Ah, no.
Yeah.
See,
No.
Audra's distress. I'm there.
No.
Like I like how Sierra's like, no, I'm hugging all y'all. Fuck you.
so,
Be prepared.
I see that face. I know what you're.
so my
Just so
vigilance
good.
level is like so high and like turned up to like touching and all the stuff with everything that's going on, and also my blackness in situations, and then the stress happening, and then having white folk at
He freaks out.
white folk in Ashland City yelling, hey black bitch, suck my black dick, which is happening just a block up the road from where I'm at. The video's online. Look for it. Right in Ashland City, just a minute up.
When we were out in Ashland City, who called you a sand nigger at the gas or at the station?
Oh yeah.
That is like the most. You heard Ash. Yeah.
Sand.
So that particular
Nigger.
insult is one of the like most like. It actually throws me off a little bit because I'm like, oh, you're just like a different kind of racism, right? Oh, like sorry, I wasn't really equipped for that right now. Like
Like
wait, what the fuck?
I like my look does get me to dip into different racism soups sometimes, which there's
Yes.
Cuban racism or somewhere in Arabia racism. They just don't ever know. And then they're like black racism.
Too.
What was that?
You get the xenophobia too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
say
we get slurs I didn't even know were slurs. Like
right?
like I think about like a lot of like the slurs that I've heard like, you know, traveling Europe as a person who well, yes, I am technically I am Romani and all of that. Like culturally speaking, I don't really talk about that too often because like it's not relevant to my American experience almost at all.
That's fair.
But yo, traveling Europe though, I have heard some shit and I'm like, wait, hold up, I just wasn't ready to deal with this. I like,
you know what's weird is when someone throws a racial slur at you that you don't know because
and you're like, wait, I know I should be offended, but what?
Tone, and I go, I know you called me some sort of awful something, but I have
Let me look that up.
like.
Great, another time I have to Google what I am.
There's nothing like a highly educated and culturally aware racist.
Oh, man.
Most of them?
But there's a lot of the American racists, they have no idea, right? They're just going to yell what they know to yell at you. They have no idea.
Yeah.
When you have like people, like I've had people call me like racist slurs that have been obsolete for like 150 years.
Oh, yeah, when I was in South Africa, I got a white dude gave me a Moroccan slur, but I had to ask the black dude who I was with what the slur meant at me. I was like, I don't know what that means. And he goes, that's against Moroccan people, and I'm like,
oh,
okay.
I mean,
I guess I'm the lightest skinned black dude he's seen around here.
Well, I also that's just kind of weird because like South Africa is like, I mean, there's a side story in here, but like ignoring the side story, like South Africa has a lot of mixed race people because it is a hugely black and white population, and that's just a fucking thing that like whether or not it was legal still happened because
100%.
Welcome to sometimes people fuck.
Right, but they're also of a certain generation, and like when I was there, it was 98.
Okay, so you're like deep into some like you're deep in some pain right there.
Yeah.
I will return. Peep.
Yeah.
I think you said pee break. That's for you, audience, just out there to know. Sometimes people have to use the restroom.
I'm into this ass modeling it though. That's A+, beautiful, wonderful. I'm so glad that my friends are my friends.
Good modeling walk-away job.
So
I said it. I'm gonna go pee.
What you got, Sierra?
I was gonna say, so to touch on kind of what Ashley was talking about earlier, and you were talking about Audra, about like you need to go talk to a real black person. My own personal struggle with that. I like this little hand motion. Sorry. I don't like, other than the way that I look, I don't feel like I'm black.
What does that feel like, though? Sierra, that's the question. What does that feel like?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's the thing is you're having cultural ideas there, and like that's the thing is like it doesn't feel like anything to be black. You're just genetically that way. So, like that's the thing. You feel like you and you feel black, just like your dad feels like him and he feels black.
Yeah.
Like the only difference is you don't feel societally that way, but that's the way society treats you. Like not in the sense the society treats your nature or your habits like that's not a thing, but that's your genetics, and there is no half of you. That's the thing. like the conversation that Josh was having on the Star Trek.
I was
on the Star Trek podcast, which is a great conversation. Please check out, people.
It's called Into the Wormhole.
Yes, and it's great, and it's a multiracial conversation about hybridism on Star Trek. But that's the thing is, there's no separation.
Shit.
There's no. This is the black side of you and the white side of you, and they have a separation. You're Sierra, and you're black. Like your genetics are also there. Like you know what I'm saying. There's no detachment from that, even though you don't culturally do the things, and you're a farm girl.
Yeah, like you're not like 0.5 black person, 0.5 white person, and those two identities in you are different things. It's like, no, you are the culmination of all of what you are as a person.
Yeah.
And so you're not any more or less black, like, by those metrics. And like, especially like, because I know what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
sorry, girl, you black.
I don't know. And I think it would be nice for me, not society, but for me to figure out where I fit in this world as a multiracial person.
Well, and so, I mean, okay.
I've never felt like I fit anywhere.
Right. So I'm just going to say this in general terms, but there's been people in your life who've come to question your blackness very often.
Yes.
How often are those people black people who are questioning your blackness?
Black people. This person is black.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're questioning it while that person themselves deals with lots of questions of their blackness. So it's really a lot of a lifestyle of questions you've gotten, while a person's also trying to validate themselves by making sure you're more black.
Yep.
And
no one's ever questioned my whiteness, though.
Nobody's questioned your whiteness.
Like that's like fuck. Well, no, that's fucked to me because, like, you know, honestly, in that podcast, which also, Audra, I will send you a link. I was on a Star Trek podcast with Larissa, and
send me a link. I haven't gotten to watch it because it's super migrainy, but
no, it's
high
no
on
rush.
my priority list. I'm planning on insomnia tonight, so that might happen this evening.
Ooh, late night Audra conversations. Ooh, yay! I can talk to somebody because I am not gonna want to go to sleep at all. But that being said, no, we're there. No, but I think, Sierra, with like that question of your blackness, like that one, it hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hurting me. I just feel that pain because I've been there.
She just disappeared. Oh, there she is.
You still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah. No, but like that, I feel that in my bones because I mean, at the end of the day, I look less black than you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not to say that my experience has not been black because that is inherently false. But like, you know, I feel that pain though, where you're questioning your shit, and like, so something that I've talked about a lot is, you know, basically my early teens to late teens were spent functionally erasing my blackness.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of that. Yeah. And then in my early 20s, I started realizing how fucked up that actually was. Oh. And started like, oh shit, I need to revisit a lot of shit that like, and I spent my 20s kind of like trying to unlearn some anti-black shit that I had been both taught and learning myself about myself. And like, and a lot of that comes into the like, because I think like it's ironic because I think code switching is actually a slightly different thing for you because you have like that I grew up in the country voice, which is not inherently white, by the way. Yeah. Like people want to talk about like people like want to talk about like, have you ever heard a black person from the country? Yeah, it's country as fuck. But like I didn't quite deal with that, but like, you know, I did like I unlearned, you know, AAVE to then like speak with like this like regional unspecific like white newscaster voice, which still is very present in how I speak, even though it is more, I'm closer to where I was as a kid than I've ever been. And that like, you know, I'm like, okay, I speak how I want to, and for better or for worse, that is what it is. But like, you know, I just think about all the racist shit that like went into like, what does it mean to erase my blackness and all that shit? Like, I don't know. It's really fucked. It's incredibly fucked, especially like as a person who's involved in like the classical music world.
Well, and I mean, here's the other thing is like by that concept, like, and that's where I got incredibly frustrated with the white concept is like, are you telling me that I can't be? Are you telling me that I can't look at my dad and go, that's someone who I am? Like, because that's the conversation that somebody's having with me is like, oh, you and your dad and you and your mom, you're in a separate place for them. You're not their kid. You're not their genes. You're not what they are. You're a different freak.
Yeah.
And that's a whole conversation that's just insanity because nobody else looks at their parents and goes like, well, I'm not what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nobody-
but we sure as fuck do.
Therapy session.
What was that, Kira?
I said I want to thank you guys for being my own personal therapy session.
I'm here for you.
Isn't this what this show's about?
I mean, is it not basically therapy?
We have to teach you how to be a little pushier. Unfortunately, you're stuck with 4 really pushy people in a conversation.
Working on
set a timer. We can be like, have we heard from Sierra in the last 10 minutes?
I've listened to a lot of these episodes and a lot of audio, and Sierra's still always just sitting there in the background. I'm just like, when is she gonna be profound? Give her a minute. Give her a minute.
He's about to lay it out.
Yeah.
I'm like dial up. It takes me a minute.
No, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Dial up for the audience. Dial up is the internet when it was on phones.
Old,
but like not smartphones.
Not smartphones.
We're on like phone lines. Like Wi-Fi wasn't a thing that existed.
It was people had to put them up and connect them to stuff.
Like, get off the computer. I want to make a call.
But yeah, no, I want to I actually think this is a really good conversation, like talking about your relationship with your blackness, because I think your relationship with your blackness is probably more different than any of ours in the way that you've talked about like your experiences for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's really important because one, you need to fucking validate your blackness because you're black as fuck and fuck anyone who says otherwise. Like, that's not how this works. That's not the life you've lived. Sorry. Like, because I mean, we fucking talked about like with that, like in the background, like conversation of like, talking about, doing like the fucking call center jobs and whatever, where like talking about like, oh, well, I sound white, but then I show up and all of a sudden like,
yeah,
yikes. That's still a black experience right there. Because like, even if you're not necessarily code switching,
mm-hmm.
you're still being seen.
I just have to, for me, figure out what being black means.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not,
it means what you are.
Black. Yeah, and
that's all it means. It means Sierra, you black. that's all it means. Whatever you are, all the things that you are. That's
it's actually the ceiling fan that's talking.
Sorry.
The whole time.
It's this. I'm sorry. This is my M. Night Shyamalan movement.
All right, cool. Okay, the fans are taking over now. The fans, they're the ones murdering everybody.
Yes.
It's not the plants, it's the fans.
Yes. Ash just yelled, everyone had to pee.
All right, so this is like the decent lull. I'm going to switch to being on my phone and not my computer.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go have a goddamn cigarette while I'm talking to y'all.
All right, sure enough.
Okay, so Tave, I'll be sending you a request real soon.
All right, sure enough. So, yeah, I mean, that, Sierra, it's the conversation is like, that I think maybe too many people have put into your life that black is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing to be other than what you are.
Mm.
Like there's no black is like this. And that's, the thing that I had a conversation with my dad the other day, and we were talking about my mother and her subtle racism for 3 years, but she always used to say she's blacker than my dad because like he didn't like to dance or jive or play basketball. Like,
yeah.
And it was a constant thing. And it's just like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, how you mean he's not the stereotype or whatever society presents to you that this culture of black people are, but a culture of black people is not black people.
I think I spent my entire life picking and choosing what I wanted the world to see me as, that I don't know who I am. Even as an almost 30-year-old adult, I don't know what I am or who I am without those things.
Huh.
If it helps at all, I'm almost 40. And I'm just now starting to get to the place where I could answer that question.
That makes me feel better.
Good.
So
So like you're not behind.
Yeah.
Like you might be ahead even.
Hopefully. Yeah. I'm there as well with that sort of level of conversation. Josh is frozen in a sort of artistic moment right now.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a early Instagram photo of like a album cover, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's good.
Sierra, I would also say that some of the voices that are defining Blackness for you are also defining what adulthood looks like, and also defining what womanhood looks like and motherhood. So you have a lot of identities that you're working through and trying to find where you are. And like you have the answer. The answer isn't in them, whether they validate your answer or not. You are the only person who gets to answer those questions.
Those conversations with myself, those are rough.
I believe it.
Dave and I had a whole conversation, was it 2 years ago? When I started wearing a bunch of head wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to fuck with my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a conversation, and I think do you remember how it started at all, Dave?
Nope, I don't.
All right, I'll be right back.
It was an argument basically about, well, not an argument, it was a discussion about, I'm wearing head wraps all the time, and why are you wearing head wraps? And is that appropriating?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, it's not. But like having to have that conversation with myself, or I'm like, am I allowed? Yes, I'm fucking allowed. I'm absolutely fucking allowed. One, just because I am black, and two, I don't want to fuck with my hair. I can wear a head wrap if I want to. So like, the having to really realize that I can't measure anything that I do by like this checklist of black things I have to hit.
Yep.
Like that's the hard, it's I still have issues with it, but almost feeling like you can't participate in stuff because you don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because we do need to pick our lanes.
Yes,
smartly. Like, because there's some shit like, yo, if a dark-skinned black trans woman is talking, like, that's a person that like that is a lane that like everyone in this conversation just needs to step back and not speak over.
Yep.
But like that's a lot different than like, you know, us having a conversation with white people.
It is, but it's also different than having a regular conversation with black people and still like I'm appropriating or I'm being weird. I must be like I'm being awkward.
Yeah.
It's always
well, I mean, being awkward is not. We can all be fucking awkward.
I'm over the being awkward, like in a social setting. Personality being awkward. I've been real weird my entire life. So like coming into my own and my weirdness as I get older, I'm all about it. But the feeling like I don't want to stifle a voice group because of the privilege I have or because of or we're having a discussion but I don't want to tell a related story because it may not be different for me because I'm lighter skinned than they are.
Yeah. So I tend to find myself being really quiet in conversations with people of color.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like I can relate. I don't feel like I have anything to contribute to the conversation.
But
it's going to be as, I mean, not that it's a one-up thing.
Yeah.
nothing that's going to make them feel like I'm telling a similar story or I'm listening to you in solidarity.
Yeah.
The whole point.
But at the same time, I wonder how true that is, though, because I am sure that, like, Sierra, you have fucking experiences that are because of you being black.
Yeah.
And, like, and I think, like, that's a really, like, this is, like, really getting into the depths of the mixer.
Yeah.
Is, like, kind of, because, yeah, that, like, that light, I'm light-skinned as fuck. Like, I look less black than Sierra does. For any of our audio listeners.
Goodbye, audience.
Goodbye. But like, I'm more light-skinned than Sierra. Fuck, Ashley's more light-skinned than Sierra. But we all have our black-ass stories.
Yeah. And really just where you are. But I also want to be really conscious of stealing time, stealing mics from people who really need to get a message across.
Okay, so what I can speak to on this that is a really perfect, like really perfect, like, relationship thing was me coming out as non-binary.
Yeah.
I spent a long time talking to trans friends about it, how I didn't feel comfortable coming out as, trans non-binary, because I felt like I was taking the voice away from other people who deal with much worse things than I deal with as trans people. And you know what most of them fucking told me was, I mean, yeah, as long as you're not a fucking asshole about, like, talking about trans stuff, like, what the fuck does your experience have to do with me? Like, you're not hurting anyone by being out as this thing. Like, and that could not relate more to this conversation and blackness. And that, like, yeah, be aware of your
people who are
voice.
darker than you. Yeah.
That's, and like, I realized though also that because I'm not as dark as my POC counterparts, I'm gonna get more questions. I'm approachable.
Yeah.
I've got to be real conscious about how I direct people to find more information or who to talk to next, because I am the next white step down into blackness.
Yeah.
I'm the easy person. I'm the waiting pool for blackness, basically.
Well, so something that I will also say is, how many of us got black cousins that are full-on black who look like us?
Yeah.
Like, our experience is not of the non-black experience, because it turns out, like, that whole, like, slavery and the constant amounts of, like, huge trigger warning rape, like, that happened in that, like, we all got cousins that they got parents that are as dark can be, and they came out looking like us.
Yeah.
Because somewhere down that line, genetically, some white person got their fucking hands on somebody.
Well,
and like,
and it's the other conversation though of, like, yet again, it's genetically my dad's experience with his blackness and his parents and what happened to them because of their blackness and what happened to them because of their blackness led to my life.
Yeah.
It led to how I live my daily life and who I think I am. It led to every experience I had with my father and the family that I had around it. Like, all of those stories are directly impacting who I was as a child and how I live every moment of my life. And that's nonetheless to how to deal with the world seeing me as black. And that has nothing to do with the cops seeing me as black. And that has nothing to do with a lot of people seeing me that way. That has to do with my direct lived experience. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's the thing, is they're not asking me for rarely. There are people who are, but rarely are they asking me for my direct experience. They're asking me to speak on behalf of black people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, my mom does that shit.
And that's like a whole fucked up thing, is like, people want to talk about us like we're a goddamn monolith, and we're not. We all have. Every black person has a different experience.
It's the term that me and Andrew were talking about years ago, which I ended up jokingly coming up with, which is we're not a high five hive mind.
Yeah.
Like whatever you think of us, we're not these down groovy guys who all think the same. Like
Yeah.
or
We
little
all got
thugs who
different
think the
fucking
same, or
opinions.
whoever the hell you think we are.
Yeah. No, we got like. No, it's super fucked. It's super fucked.
Sure.
Like any black person needs to speak on the entirety of the black experience. Like, no, that ain't how it works. Like, that ain't how that goes for us. We're not speaking on everyone else's experience because we all have different experiences. Like, I think about, my non-straight and gay black friends. Their experience is different than mine.
No.
They're like, I think about like, the just we all have different ass experiences. Like something that I've been really delving into recently is like, most of the black people in my life are some kind of spiritual, and I'm not. I'm very much an atheist, and
Yeah.
I've been like looking into black atheists, because like atheism is another one of those like weird like things that has been like co-opted by like white dudes.
Yeah, seriously.
And it's like real fucked because I'm like, yeah, but I don't relate to their experiences in any way.
Because
even though
God.
Oh, yeah. Also, and not to generalize, but I've met a lot of white atheists who are just mad at God, which is a different conversation.
It's a different conversation.
Right.
And they're specifically mad at God.
It's like, I'm mad at you, so you're not real. That's a whole different
they're
conversation than like, I
at
don't believe
in
you.
God. But they're going to then use that as like, well, now everybody's gods are a problem. I'm like, okay, well, you're only mad at the Christian God. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Which
not
is
mad
so-
at all the other ones. Can you make it specific?
no, it's so fucked because like that ain't it either. Like, because like I am the first to talk about. I don't have a fucking problem with religion, generally speaking. Like, I'm pretty like this conversation is at least 3/5 fairly like Christian adjacent.
Some Jesus-related sort of concepts, at least 3/5 of this,
right.
yes.
Right.
Christian
Very distantly related in some ways.
Yes, yes.
Related.
Most Christians would call me a heretic, a blasphemer, or a not believer, but whatever.
I'm Audra. I'm a heretic.
Means that that's you and I, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's a whole nother conversation though too, is how, or at least for some of us, how religion and our blackness, how they have gotten together and formed us.
Mm-hmm. Well, and for me, religion and my indigenous background, because that's another thing. Because being Christian and Native versus being Native and following after any version of your traditional practices, or like trying to refine your traditional practices through your own decolonization. It's a really interesting
that decolonization though, like that's the thing like that I've been working at like so hard in therapy, is how do I decolonize my thoughts?
Yeah.
Because that is something that every single person is dealing with in some regard. Like every person, regardless of your racial or religious background, we are dealing with, we need to decolonize our thoughts.
What do you mean by that, Josh? What do you mean decolonize your thoughts?
Okay, so sorry, pardon. Go, Josh. Sorry.
So when I think about decolonizing my thoughts, I think about like how basically like colonialism, which was bred or which did breed both imperialism and ableism
and nationalism
and a lot of other isms.
So many isms.
So many isms. Like those thoughts are all bred from that culture that we've been raised in.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have like thinking about like, talking about police, talking about capitalism.
Yeah.
where we need to get rid of some of those ideas, like real hard. Like we should not be beholden to like the idea of upholding a lot of those things. And like I think about like a lot of shit with myself and dealing with like right now and like COVID shit and my being an artist and like I'm not producing as much as I want to.
Or I'm not important things. That's the big thing.
I'm not producing things that make money right now.
No, it's the making money. I don't produce art that means something to somebody.
Yeah.
That's my
actually.
Well, that's the ironic thing is my art does mean stuff to people. And that is something that I can speak to on just like the way that people talk about. I mean, all of y'all see me play.
Yeah.
It is an emotional experience.
Absolutely.
It is an important human experience to have. But that experience is not really catered towards capitalism.
No.
Yeah.
Like
okay. Visual aid. I gotta go get visual aid.
Well, actually, getting visual aid, if I can speak real quick to childhood as an assimilated Native person. Because in terms of decolonizing, I heard both sides, Sierra. So on one side, I was taught we don't need to engage in commerce. On the other side, I was taught you shouldn't rely on welfare. You shouldn't rely on handouts. You shouldn't rely on anything. You're the only person you can count on, right? So like the two ideas, one comes from the society we live in. The other one comes at least from some attempt to return to where we originated from, right? This idea is all about relationship. It's all about the connections that we have with each other, the connections we have with the land, the connections we have with, I'll say spirituality, but that's really just anything that is bigger than what we currently understand. That's our relationship with what we consume, with what we create. Like, because it's all about relationship. Whereas in our society, in American society, it's all about powerful institutions that exist solely to create, maintain, and protect their power, which is completely antithetical to how much of the world worked before we began to exist under imperialism.
So for me, decolonizing your thoughts is even simple things of like when I have conversations with men and mostly white men, but the conversation goes with equal pay for equal work, right? And men always go, well, okay, so women can't lift as much as men can, right? So one, the situation that naturally their brain is going to is might means right.
Right.
This isn't, they aren't hearing equal pay for equal work, which means if you do this, they do that. If you know what I'm saying? Like it's equal, you're doing the same. They automatically hear, I'm stronger, so why can they get paid more? And might means right is not what an intellectual, enlightened American democracy should pursue for the evidence of how to build. Things like capitalism to me is an organism that should only work for the market and not an organism that needs to work for human care like housing, food, healthcare. Capitalism shouldn't be involved in those things, but colonization says that might means right. So the antithesis of what Christ says, which is if somebody asks for your sweater, give them your pants. If you need a better explanation of that, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like the concept of somebody asks you for something, you give them more than what they ask is antithetical to the nature of Christ. But because we ask, if they ask for something of you, tell them how much it is and upsell them on your pants. And that's if somebody's in need. And that's a colonizational thought. It is winning over hurting anybody matters most.
It's me having to hunt down stores that sell paper towels and toilet paper, and then when I find one, it's selling a 6-pack of paper towels for $18.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that everyone's trying to survive right now, but can't nobody afford an $18 pack of 6 paper towels?
No, I think about like talking about my stylish as fuck masks. I spent some good money on that. Like I know that these masks are things that I should have been able to buy for $2, but I bought them for $15 because, well, one, I know I was supporting Black people when I did that, and like if I can put money in their pockets so they can fucking survive, let's go. But like I also know that in like a society that was actually equitable, that shouldn't even be an issue because I should be able to trade my own abilities and services to do that, and it be like an equitable thing. Like I should be able to make a fucking video of me fucking playing cello, and for people to go, oh, okay, cool, let me give you things now. Like that's how that would work in a society that actually gave a shit about everybody.
Yeah.
But it's also it's honoring that everybody has knowledge that is valuable, and it's not valuable because of the monetary number that we can put on it. It's valuable because it means something to human life.
Yeah.
It means something to life.
Yeah.
Can I highlight 2 wins? I don't know if you talked about 2 wins this week for decolonization.
Ooh. Oh, we get talking about Supreme Court Oklahoma.
Yeah, the Supreme Court. The headline that you may have read was the Supreme Court granted half of Oklahoma to the Native Americans. No, that's
not what happened.
Mind you, this is under the goddamn Trump administration that this happened.
Yeah.
Like, what the
What
fuck?
the Supreme Court actually did was not grant anybody a damn anything. They admitted that the treaty was still should be upheld. They admitted that Oklahoma was like, yeah, this is all ours, and the Congress had never actually given away half of the state.
No.
And the Supreme Court admitted that it's always been Native territory.
Yeah.
And that made me really fucking happy.
They basically told white bitches, hey, you had 100 years to come claim this shit.
Yep.
And you did not. So it's still gonna stay their land. Is basically.
Yep. So Tulsa, Oklahoma is now on Creek territory. And that just makes me really fucking happy. And in terms of personal decolonization, I've had a really hard fucking year. Like, you guys know more about my mental health struggles than I will go into for this particular conversation. But I can say something as of this week that I've never been able to say. I'm proud to be a disabled woman.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow. It's awesome, homie.
It and that really unlocked a lot for me in terms of understanding my gender, in terms of understanding my sexuality, even in terms of understanding my faith, because I'm saying my value is absolutely, unequivocally, in no way tied to what I can produce. It is tied solely to my existence.
Right.
And the struggle that I go through is worthwhile, not because I'm suffering and woe is me and I'm here to be your inspiration porn, but simply because as a human being, I have learned knowledge through my experiences that have value, and that is partially because I'm a disabled woman, and I am proud of that. So those would be the 2 ends that I wanted to.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I still struggle with that, like with disability things, like because my disabilities are not the same as yours. They're not the same as Ash's. Like they're very, very different, and I still struggle with that, like that idea of no, dude, it's okay. You as a human, it's okay if you cannot produce as much as you would want to.
Yeah.
But it's also really important.
The questions that you
or
ask,
anything, yeah.
The questions that you ask through your art are just as important as if you got answers. In terms of like the knowledge that you can share, the questions that we can pass on to the next generation, that saves time too. If we can be like, here's all the shit that none of us know, like that in and of itself is valuable.
Let me bring this back around to art. I can use my visual aid and I can talk about this. So this has been my issue with one, anytime something huge happens, news-wise, worldwide, whatever thing, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but as an artist or someone who considers themselves an artist, I feel regardless of what the event is or if it has anything to do with me, I always feel this slight twinge of pressure to produce something about it. Like
absolutely.
If I'm not making socially conscious art, or if I'm not making art that connects with people, then it's not fucking art.
So
but think about, I've never done art in my entire history. I've never done art that is socially conscious or is meant to connect with people. I really just do my own shit. But the motivation and the guilt is always there.
But that's, I mean, okay. So, I mean, I would probably, like, I'm probably better known as a more social activist artist as far as the things that I produce as a writer have a lot to do with social justice and things.
Which has been hilarious,
But
like, month, because really I am, don't make them mad, you're being too loud. And I don't know. I snap. I snap real hard about
So something that I think about a lot with the art that I make is I don't know that I've ever made. I have. I can pinpoint some points, but most of the art that I make, especially anything that I am making myself,
yeah,
none of it cannot be like it is always activism. By virtue of me doing the shit that I do on the instrument that I play, that is an activist fucking statement. That look at me, this queer ass, black ass musician making this art is a statement.
which is great.
Like regardless of whether or not that I'm talking about my blackness in my art,
yeah,
I am still making a statement by fucking existing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's where I feel like with like all of y'all, when we make shit, it is still a goddamn statement. It is a statement on our disabilities. It is a statement on our blackness. It is a statement on our queerness for all whom that applies. Like we are still doing that regardless of whether or not we are saying something in specific about those things. The fact that we are able to and are doing those things in the beautiful ways that we do is important. And that is like true for like anyone. I'm going to address the listeners for 2 seconds again. I know I said fuck y'all, we're not talking to you, but we are talking to you a little bit. And when you are making art as a marginalized person, you are making a statement by just fucking existing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And I swear to God, I wish I had like a Jiminy Cricket version of you that like talk to me all day.
Yo, you'd be so much more mad during the day.
Oh yeah.
But you'd be happy about it.
No, so I mean that's the thing. Is like I have an angry Josh, little Josh living inside of me. Most of the time that's why when me and Josh talk, I'm like, yeah, also burn it down. I gotta.
Okay.
So if I yell burn it down
Okay, here's my argument.
If I yell burn it down this loud, I'm gonna get shot.
and my feeling like I want to help, but I don't know how, and I'm feeling like I'm going insane because I'm stuck here and I'm sick and I can't be as fuck it. I can't be as reckless as fucking everybody else decides to be. So I feel like I should be working on stuff that's important. Like, since this is such a heavy time, but
like I said, honestly, this conversation, so on a not on the podcast conversation, we got shit to talk about because there's stuff that I think your skill set would be really good for that are things that I want to work on.
Okay.
And that might actually solve some of those like feelings in like, I'm not doing, and no, trust me, there's shit we can do.
Okay, here's an example. This is the kind of stuff that I spend my time on, and I mean like compulsively, where I know I have other things to do. My head is literally telling me the entire time, get up, you have to go do this. Get up, you have to finish this. And I can't because I'm spending time fucking embroidering Deadpool.
I love
but
it.
it's fucking amazing. I want 20.
What's wrong with that? I don't see any problem wrong with that.
No reason. And I was like, have you taken your medicine today? I'm like, shut up. Yes, I'm fine.
All right. So one, I think that's a point on hypervigilance in blackness, hypervigilance in the coronavirus, hypervigilance in being a woman. It's hypervigilance in everything, and all of it's turned to 11 right now in where we're at in America. And so the general thing of just, as I was saying earlier, just like being able to barely go record something is perfectly fine for half of us because that's what we should be doing. It's always an emergency. Our lives right now are always an emergency. So it's okay to be stressed out. And sadly, to take the long end of this, I'm actually going to end this recording now because it's about 10:30 at night. And Audra seems she's dying on us. Sierra's giving us a funny face.
Audra's lucid. Sierra's worried that her children are going to start screaming in the middle of the night and she won't be able to sleep at all.
I'm just going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So
I'm going to like, I'm still showing up to shit even if I'm half asleep in the corner. So.
No, it's good. We like you that way. That's perfectly fine. So
before Tave signs off, I do want to say, since you were the one of us that is stuck with tiny toddlers and less than adult conversation, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I am mostly free. So if you're starting to lose your mind and you would just
talk to me,
we can video chat anytime.
Awesome.
Okay.
We can have non-recorded mixer conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. All right, so audience, hello again. Goodbye again. This was the mixer. There was lots of horrible conversations, lots of wonderful conversations. And maybe we'll see you guys in 2 weeks or so. Who knows? We got a lot of stress and a lot of vigilance. Thanks, guys. And, glasses up.